Near token has doubled in price over the past 7 weeks, topping the list of biggest gainers with market values of at least $1 billion, according to data from Messari. It's a layer 1 blockchain. Near Protocol recently announced raising $350 million in a funding round led by hedge fund Tiger Global in a bid to accelerate the decentralization of the Near ecosystem. Joining us now is Illia Polosukhin, co-founder of Near Protocol. Hello there, Illia. Thanks for joining us. So what makes Near different from the other Ethereum competitors out there?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for inviting. So from the start, our kind of main goal has been to how do we bring this technology and this experience and this kind of philosophy that blockchain offers to a billion people? And the realization always been that the current technologies like Ethereum, like Bitcoin, are just way too complex, right? If we're talking about actually using the blockchain itself. And to do that, we really need to solve for simplicity of usage, for security for the users, and for the scalability to actually being able to handle billions of users. And so these are kind of three main pillars that we're building the protocol on. And so within that, we're scaling the blockchain through sharding, kind of through, the methods that Web2 has perfected, but obviously adjusting for the permissionless world. We're offering kind of a full, a lot of tools and instruments for developers to build secure experiences, and then kind of offering, as an ecosystem in general, a lot more simpler way to onboard new users, kind of hiding blockchain.
I guess the question is, how are you doing that compared to, say, the Avalanche, Ethereum, the Solanas of the world? Because my understanding, you're another smart contract protocol, and you've seen incredible growth. So what are you pitching to investors that is making them think, okay, yes, you have a competitive chance?
So for us, it's not about investors, it's really about developers. So we've seen a number of kind of major partners that we have announced recently who have joined us with this vision is how do we kind of simplify the onboarding of new users. So one of the interesting partnerships, for example, Sweatcoin that we announced yesterday here in Paris is an existing application with over 60 million users. And on Near, they're able to build a experience where the users are able to sign up, create a wallet, and start earning the Sweat token kind of in a very transparent way, right? They don't need to understand the technologies. They don't need to understand private seed phrases and kind of all of the details of how blockchains right now work kind of in usually. And so that experience and that vision of how do we bring a billion people is really what attracting developers and kind of growth of the ecosystem.
So Illia, of course, Sweatcoin, I'm more of a sweet coin person myself, but okay. $350 million, a lot of money to raise. You had Tiger, which of course is an old school hedge fund. Old school, they've only been around for a few decades. And also newer companies like FTX involved. What's the goal with that fundraise? Where's the money actually going? It's a lot to take in. So how are you spending it?
So in general, Near ecosystem is not a one company, right? It's actually a lot of different organizations that are all kind of united by common goal of building this future. And so kind of funds that Near Foundation and other entities are raising are really targeted at the kind of continue decentralizing and growing. So an example would be setting up regional hubs. This is a specific kind of structure that exists independently of Near Foundation, for example, that is focused on growing the developers, growing usage, growing education in specific region, right? It's we have something in Asia, we've had something in Ukraine, which has been an interesting over the past months. We now have things in Portugal, setting up stuff in Balkans, in US, in Kenya. And so really kind of decentralizing our ecosystem across the board and kind of creating a lot of this centers that are continue propagating vision, attracting developers, educating them, building amazing applications, and through that, obviously, funding a lot of projects, right? So I think yesterday or the day before, I have tweeted it is over 500 projects in the ecosystem, right? So a lot of it is kind of one way or another funded by kind of the investors and ecosystem funds in Near ecosystem.
I just want to talk about the recent surge in Near's price. It seems like, Near sometimes doesn't actually go along with the larger market, right? I'm just curious, how do you explain when the price surges? What's behind that? Is it just kind of like riding the tailwinds of the market? Bitcoin goes up and Near goes up as well. It doesn't quite seem like that. Or are there other factors that drive up the price, in your opinion?
Well, I think the previously was saying that the more buyers than sellers. That's a good saying. I'm going to use that. Generally for us, right, again, we focused on kind of this global vision of users. Kind of over past, few weeks, we have been partnering with large kind of existing companies with existing user bases, which are large, which align with our vision. And so that has kind of obviously attracted even more developers and even more folks in the community. And so for us, that's really the kind of metrics and goals we're setting. And the market reactions are, hard to predict, but not something that is for me to explain.
Illia, I just want to even zoom out even further back, but if you were to describe Near to someone completely new to the space, how would you describe it to them?
This is the infrastructure that will power their next, the app they'll use next. So for us, it's like, how do we go from the world where there's companies like Google and Facebook, which obviously had their own right before, but how do we go to the next level, right? You were talking about Elon Musk trying to buy Twitter, and the interesting thing is there is a lot about having a centralized organization pretty much controlling world information, right? That it has a lot of issues with that. And so how do we go beyond that? Well, we need kind of governance and ownership of the data and ownership of their own assets, obviously. And so this is what Near stands for. This is what it's building. And so, if we talk about kind of the Twitter of the future, the platform of the future where the information will be flowing, where, people will not get banned for no reason, but at the same time, there will be ways to kind of protect people from, things like misinformation, things like terrorism, etc. This will not be a centralized company. This will be a some kind of governance and community. It will be powered by a platform, and that platform needs to be scalable, needs to be simple to use. It should not require people to enter 24 words to be able to access it. And so that's what Near is. Near is really providing that infrastructure.